It started. Ooh. Here we go, Garry.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. So, oh no, here they come. For a moment then, I just actually thought there were actually not going to be anybody attending, but they're coming in now. Finally, we've got Heather Campbell, we've got Yolanta Borkowska, we've got Lucy Tribe, we've got Mandy Anderson, we've got Ruth, we've got Robin Nairn, we've got Sandra Randall. People are coming in. Tell us where you're viewing from, and yeah, and what the weather's like, because we're both in two different places this time. Garry is in the UK and I'm in France. What have you been doing today, Garry?
Same shit, different day. I've been trimming. I've been out trimming. Yeah, it was my first day trimming, seeing my lovely clients. All of them are regulars, and seeing their amazing horses. I love my job. That's
lovely, isn't it?
11 horses today.
11 horses today. So yeah. Any favourites?
Well, it was a Sue day, and you know Sue and I have a bit of a relationship, don't we?
Yeah, you have a bromance going on with that horse.
Yes, and I have to say there's another one that's coming along very similar, and he's Irish sport horse. He's grey, and he's very young. He's only 4, and his name's Cruz. And I took his shoes off for him. And he's coming along very nicely, nicely.
I look forward to hearing more about Cruz. Lucy's in Southeast UK. She says lovely weather. Mandy Anderson says hi from a windy, sunny Portland in Dorset in the UK. Sandra Randall is in the Czech Republic and she says it's raining. Oh, Sandra, that's a pain. Rachel Briffa says hi. So tonight, folks, we're going to do something which is just a little bit different than what we usually do. Jackie says, hi from sunny Shropshire. We're going to do something a little bit different. So normally we have a ton of slideshows, and we're going to do a few slides at the beginning, but just to sort of introduce who we are, for those of you who don't know who we are. And then we're going to pull out of the slides, and Garry and I are going to sit here and chat to you about going barefoot and answering your questions about going barefoot. So we hope that you have, while we're showing you the intro slides, be thinking of some questions, write them down. This is a burning question that I've always wanted to know, because tonight's webinar is all about, is shoeless going barefoot? Basically, on our Facebook pages, on our social media, we often have lots of people who refer to their horses being barefoot as shoeless. It's like they can't manage to say the word barefoot. And it's odd. There's a reason for that, I think. There's a reason for not wanting to be part of the barefoot crowd, because clearly we're all just a bunch of loonies, and rather just...
Here, speak for yourself.
And they just no, I know you, Garry, you're a loony just like me, and because it's there's the connotations of being barefoot, the connotations of that whole barefoot thing, and that barefoot movement is something that they don't want to be part of, which is okay. Absolutely, nobody says it isn't. But what we think happens a great deal of the time with an awful lot of horses that fail to go barefoot successfully is because people just genuinely think that shoeless is just taking the shoe off, that they're horses without shoe, almost as if that's the unnatural thing, and the natural thing is having a shoe. My horse is shoeless. Your horse is barefoot. That's the natural thing. The shoeless part is the unnatural, or the shoe part is the unnatural thing. So we thought we'd just have a bit of a discussion with people tonight, with you guys tonight, and see what happens, because we think that would be quite a nice thing to do, didn't we, Garry?
We did.
Jackie Pomeroy says hi from sunny Shropshire. Ruth Davenport, Brittany in France, lovely dry weather. Yeah, it's dry. Well, it is dry where we are. And I don't know about you, because I'm in France. And Ruth, what's the weather been like? The whole of Europe that's below us has been burning, and we've been under rain clouds for the last 2 weeks. But now it's starting to warm up, we hope. And next week it's going to be a lot sunnier and warmer, we think. We do think, we hope.
As long as it is in the UK whilst I'm working, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. All right then, so let's start by sharing the screen. So remember, start writing down your questions about what is barefoot compared to shoeless, and little bits and pieces that you have. Ruth says, yes, had loads of rain. Yeah. All right then. We are going to, here we go, share the screen. Can everybody see that? Give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen. Give us a big thumbs up if you can see the screen. Everybody can see what we're doing here. Oh, let me just put you guys over there. I don't know if you've got a bit of a delay. Oh yeah, thumbs are going up. Marvelous. Okay, so we are your hosts. I am Lindsay Setchell, and this is Garry Hinton. And we've been doing these webinars. When did we start doing these free webinars, Garry? I can't remember. This time.
Stop putting me on the spot. I'm gonna have to look it up now.
Oh, it has to have been back in March, April. Must have been something like that. It had to have been. It did. But we're in August. We've come racing along, and now we're in August. Happy August, everybody! So I thought I'd find some.
Oh no, it was
facts.
before March.
Was it?
It was before March. Yeah, so it must have been February, because in March we had webinar 3, so it must have been in February.
Oh well, there you go. So we've been doing this since February, but we're now in August. We seem to be racing through this year. Can everything just slow down a little bit, because we're going rather too fast? So in August, what do you think makes August unique, Garry? Do you know any fun facts about August?
No. In the UK, It's got 2 bank holidays. No, it hasn't. No, it's got 1.
Okay, so I'll tell you some facts about August. August is, in a standard year, there is no other month that begins on the same day of the week as August. Do you know that?
No, didn't know that.
Yeah, and in a leap year, August begins on the same day of the week as February. Weird.
Okay.
And August, you know, we have like national days. So yeah. August the 6th, which is obviously today, has various national days. And the national days on August the 6th is National Sisters Day. Yay for all sisters. I have a sister. National Friendship Day, which is really nice. National Root Beer Float Day. Okay, that's rather bizarre.
Whatever that is.
National Fresh Breath Day.
Oh, I've just had a shower, clean my teeth. I'm fine.
Yeah, all right with that. National, this is the best one. This is the best one, but the best one. I've been saving this one to last. National Wiggle Your Toes Day today.
Oh, I can do that right
August
now.
the 6th. So everybody can sit there right now and wiggle your toes, because it's National Wiggle Your Toes Day. Did you know? And why do we need to even know about wiggling your toes? But there you go, that's August. So we've been racing through the year. We've got more webinars coming up, and if you've missed some of our webinars before, you can go to the website and you can find the other webinars. So we're going to show you the website in a moment. But who are we? We always do this. We are HMIS. We are the Hoofing Marvellous International School of Horse and Hoof Care. What do? Well, we teach naturally balanced horse and hoof care, and now we teach it all over the world, because we always used to teach workshops, just workshops, and people in person in the UK mainly, and now we teach people online too. That is all about us. There we are. We do it online. Hurrah! So, Garry, today I thought we'd tell people that we've had something a bit exciting. That
Oh
now,
yeah, it's so cool, isn't it?
yeah. So now,
I've been
Hoofing
playing.
Marvellous. Have you been playing Hoofing
I've been
Marvellous?
playing.
I can't show you on my screen because I'm using my phone as my camera. But Hoofing Marvellous now have. Oh, where is it?
It's there.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. The
That's a lovely
the Hoofing Marvellous app, and there's a lovely picture of me and my wife.
So we now have an app. Yes, the Hoofing Marvellous app. Now, if you go to the App Store or Google Android, in Google Android and search for Hoofing Marvellous, you'll find our app and it'll download. But you won't be able to do anything with it. You won't even be able to log in because you have to be part of the school to do that. And how do you become part of the school? Well, you have to take a course in the school. So things like Hoof Uncovered, where we take you on a journey through the hoof, or we have obviously our main HMB Pro professional 2-year training program on there. We've also got our online new online workshop or an online foundation course, which is this close, folks, to being relaunched. We launched it in April and we had it open for just a few weeks and then we shut it down again because we wanted to make some changes to it. We wanted to really tweak it up, and we are that close now to, I reckon it'll be ready, dare I say this, Gary, potentially the end of this week. The online foundation workshop, I know, don't fall off your chair. It's going to be ready by the end of this week, we hope. So that you will be able to access on your app. And there are some cool things you can do on that app. Gary, what cool things can you do on the app?
Oh God, loads. You put me on the spot again. Well, once you've signed up, it gives you opportunities to actually talk direct with us. You can chat with other students within the school. You can monitor your learning progress throughout. See what else is on offer. The ebooks are on there as well, aren't they?
I don't think we've got the ebooks on there at the moment, but they will be coming. They will be coming. And we've also got the opportunity to keep in touch with you through our notifications, so they'll come straight up on your app. And it just means that you can access the courses so quickly because you've got a little icon on your screen. It shows you, you said, didn't it? It shows your progress and you get analytics, and it's just a bit of a fun app, but it's easy to access the course player through our app. So it's arrived. Hoofing Marvellous do now have their own app. Marvellous. All right then, shall we get on? Are you ready? Yes, you are. Let's do this. So our webinar tonight is shoeless the same as going barefoot with your horse, because people go on about being shoeless, but truly, is that going barefoot? And we're going to have, these are the webinar questions that we're going to use as a kind of theme as we go through this evening. So is just taking the shoes off your horse going truly barefoot? Is it, or is that enough? Just taking the shoes off? Because we want to take our horse barefoot, we're going to take the shoes off. What do you need to know about diet management and the trim? Do you need to know all those things if you're going to go barefoot successfully? Well, who should you have around you to help you go barefoot? Who are the people that should be in the team around you to help you go barefoot? And do you need a special kind of horse to go barefoot successfully? So those are the things we're going to talk about tonight. Now, because we're going to do this a little bit different, we're going to pull out of our slides, because this time we're not going to do all of that. And here we are again in full screen. So our first question is just taking the shoes off your horse going truly barefoot? So what do you think about that, peeps? Tell us what you think. Lucy, they're talking about the app. They're going, wait, you have an app? Yes, I can join the app. Fabulousness, sounds cool. Downloaded it. Yeah, so if you're already in the school, if you've already got you're in part of Hoof Uncovered, or you're just about to join the online, or you're a pro, or whatever, if you're actually part of the school, then you can go and download it and you can access it with your normal login, and away you go. very exciting. So, is shoeless or taking the shoes off your horse truly going barefoot? Garry, how many times have we heard people say, my horse is shoeless. It's not, you know, it's we've taken the shoes off, but I'm not like going down that, like, it's not barefoot. Is it really the same, do we think?
No, certainly not. Just taking the shoes off is just the start. And I think what you've got to think about as well is, why do people take the shoes off?
Yeah.
Is it because well, I've had clients that are doing it for a number of reasons. One, because the horse can't keep shoes on anymore.
Yeah.
The hoof wall is breaking away, the nails can't stay in, and it's almost that they've been forced to take the shoes off. So that could be one form of shoeless. Another one is to save money.
Yeah, economic reasons, right?
Economic reasons, yeah. Because it's cheaper, right?
Yeah. Well, they think it is.
They think it is. Yeah.
And
just take the shoes off and see.
And in our experience, people who do that, who take the shoes off just for economic reasons, they aren't necessarily the people that are going to stick, are they?
No. Very, very, very much. It's almost that they haven't bought into what's needed. But then I have to say, sometimes they may not have bought into it, but then if they have the right support around them, they can learn, for sure.
Yeah, because they do need to learn. They do need to learn.
Yes.
And it's an interesting thing that people also, that whole other part that I was talking about earlier, which is the terminology, shoeless, and using that as terminology as opposed to barefoot, as opposed to they don't almost want to say the words barefoot. Why do we think that has happened? Why do you think? Do you think we make people sick at the end of the day, or what do you think?
I think a lot of it has come from media. Perhaps from traditional publications, and sort of like insurance magazines and so on. Very often I have had my clients show me articles from those publications where it's almost that they refuse to use the word barefoot or natural anywhere in those publications, when quite clearly just being shoeless is not the same as being barefoot. And it's almost that being barefoot is the abnormal. We touched on it before, isn't it? Why would shoeless be abnormal when they're not born with shoes on? It just doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it doesn't. And maybe also there's another element too, because they want to bring the whole shoeless, they want to keep it along that vein, because as soon as we start using the word barefoot, maybe we're going to be thinking about getting a barefoot professional, and really we should be thinking about these magazines that you're talking about, and these publications you're talking about. We often find that they really push a certain kind of of hoof care, i.e. they expect you to use your farrier. Now, you and I know, and many of the people know who know us, that we are absolutely, we really encourage people to keep their hoof care provider and work with their hoof care provider, because lots of people come to us and they have problems. If they're happy, if they're not happy with their hoof care provider, then obviously they're going to go and find somebody else. But if they have a farrier and they're really happy with their farrier, but they're afraid that their farrier might be doing things or they just need to know more, or that their farrier is doing some things that they feel it might not be helping their horse, then obviously the way to help themselves is to get educated. And in some instances, when they have that conversation with a farrier, who has been trained, of course, in shoeing horses to help them go sound, because that's the whole point of putting a shoe on, then sometimes it goes well and sometimes it doesn't go so well. But what we find is in these publications is that they really don't want people oftentimes to be using anybody other than a farrier. But we know that that doesn't work all the time.
No, no, it doesn't. And also, I think as well, calling it shoeless is almost like it's got connotations that it is a temporary measure.
Yeah.
They're shoeless for now.
Yeah. What do you guys think that's watching? You're listening, but you're quiet. Tell us what you think.
You need to not be quiet.
Yeah, tell us what you think. Do you agree with us? Do you think that this use of the word shoeless is because they're afraid to use the word barefoot? Maybe they're in a yard, maybe they've got lots of friends who are shod, and that they don't want to use the word barefoot because it sounds kind of, that they're joining a crowd that they don't want to be with, or that they don't want other people to think that they're going to be with. What do you think? Because I think horsemanship did quite a bit of this years ago, when horsemanship came out, and then natural horsemanship came out, and then Pirelli horsemanship came out, and then we had Monty Roberts, and we had loads and loads of different versions of horsemanship, and people were almost didn't want other people to know that they were doing natural horsemanship because it had the bad connotation. And I think we've kind of got over that now. But I do think that this is a thing with barefoot and shoeless. This is people who are not really thinking that they want to be part of that because it's bad. Kay says, agree, shoeless sounds like shoes are the norm and being without them is something unusual. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? It is a really crazy thing, but we see it all the time on our Facebook posts. Every single time we put out a post, we tend to get negative comments from certain sorts of people, and one of those are people that call it shoeless. They don't like what we do because these people are maybe haven't got a barefoot professional, and they're using a farrier, and they think that what we're doing is going down, being really detrimental towards farriers. Not at all. In fact, the shoeing, the actual shoe, yeah, that's a problem. And I mean, you can't avoid it, you can't ignore it. The shoes are causing issues, and if you don't want to believe that, you've only really got to open your eyes and have a look at what's happening to the foot to know that the shoe is causing issues. Jackie says, I think peer pressure has a lot to do with it, especially on yards. Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Peer pressure is a real issue. It's a problem. And peer pressure, in fact, somebody might be successfully going barefoot and doing quite well with their horse, but peer pressure will actually make that person put shoes back on their horse. And not just peers, trainers, other professionals, but people that are to do with body workers, veterinary professionals, people who don't think that it's the right thing for your horse will tell you that you need to put shoes back on your horse. And this is a big thing that we have to deal with all the time, isn't it, Garry?
Yes, every day.
Every single day. Okay, so what do you need to know about diet management and the trim? So that's our second question. What do you need to know about diet management and the trim? Do you need to know anything? Do you need, as an owner, if you're going to successfully take your horse barefoot, do you need to know any of that? The tradition has always been, let's leave hoof care to the farriers or the hoof care professional. I don't really need to know anything about it because my farrier comes along, he puts a shoe on my horse, and then I just go off and ride. People that feel that that's the right thing for their horse, we find, have never properly engaged in understanding about the health of their horse. So what do you think? Do you need to know as an owner? Is it important as an owner of a horse to know about the diet, know about the management, and know about the trim? Should you really know what's happening with your horse? Because if you don't, are you going to be successful? Crystal says, absolutely, absolutely. And when we go on our workshops and we have people who turn up on the workshops who are desperate to go barefoot, or maybe are barefoot, and we have people come along who are shoeing their horses too. By the time we get through the first lecture, which incidentally on the online workshop, we have videoed many of our workshops, haven't we? And so if you want to do the online because you can't come to an in-person workshop and you're somewhere in the world or even in the UK but you can't come along, you will get to see what we talk about on our workshops because we videoed quite a lot of our live sessions, and that's quite cool too. But we get all these people coming on and coming to our workshops, and by the end of that first session their eyes start to open and they're like, oh, I thought I knew stuff, but now I'm not sure I did. And these are people who have actively tried to find out about diet and management. Kay says, yes, I know, but my hands are tied. At my traditional yard, the second my boy gets footy and I mention laminitis, they blame the barefoot trimmer, not their management or the environment. Yeah, keen to, very, very, very keen to jump straight down onto that, aren't they?
Very, very. And it's extremely frustrating for all. It really is about, excuse me, it really is about owners taking ownership and educating themselves. And I think, like we've said on many of our workshops, it's not us, i.e. me and you and people like me and you, that are going to change the world for better for the horses. It's going to be all of those people that are horse owners that are taking responsibility, and going out there and saying to these livery yards, the more people that go out and ask and say, I want a grass-free area that the horse can live in a herd with free access to good quality mixed meadow hay and lead a species-specific diet. It's really not that hard to get, but there's not that many livery yards out there that do it. No. And if they really thought about it long and hard enough, it is a very good business model. It really is.
It really is.
It really is. It really is a very good business model. But we do our bit. The horse owners have got to own up and do their bit.
Own it.
They're the ones that are going to change the world for these horses. We're just the facilitators. We say that a lot, don't we? We're here to just share our knowledge and experience and help you along the way, but we can't do it all for you. We can't do it all for you. And if we could, we would.
Yeah,
I think if we could, we would. But this is what we can do. This is what we can do.
And we are empowerers. We want to empower people, because at the end of the day, if we're only visiting every 6 weeks, then you've got all that time in between us turning up. We might only be there for an hour every 6 weeks. And you need to know. And so we are really, really keen on educating owners and owners finding out. And Mandy says, as a guardian of any animal, you should know everything about them. And you should. It's so, Garry says this over and over. This is a specialist animal.
The requirements are specialist, but they're not actually that hard to get wrong. No. They're really quite easy. they're very simplistic animals. Humans just complicate it.
Oh, totally. And people are like, well, you know, we can't, oh, I can't, oh, you natural people, oh, well, we can't ride and you can't do this and you can't if you're going to be natural. But it's not what we're talking about. When we're talking about natural, we're talking about the health of the gut. And you're never going to get that animal healthy in their mind, their gut, their feet, their body, unless you treat them as a species specific as you can. It makes sense, right? There's no point treating it like a kangaroo or like a cow, which is actually more often treating it like a cow and saying, oh, well, you know, cows, we're going to eat cows. So we're going to go out and we're going to graze them. They're going to get fatter. We're going to get milk off them. We're going to get, you know, we're going to get meat off them. So this is fine. We can treat the horses the same. No, you can't, because they're not the same. Cows are ruminants, horses are monogastric herbivores, and you just cannot treat them the same. It isn't the same thing at all. And unfortunately, in the domestic world, horses have been, the way we keep horses, horse husbandry has come from the cattle industry. Kay says, Kay says, in order to get my horse on a track liver, I'm having to consider moving house county. That's so sad. It's so sad, but it's the way, it's where we are now. Maybe it isn't sad. Maybe a whole complete change, Kay, might be the best thing. But it's crazy that that's the sort of thing that we have to maybe even think about doing for our horses. But what I can tell you one thing, Kay, if even that is even entering your head, then you are streets ahead of most horse owners who would never imagine doing something like that for their horse. You know, they like Garry and I often says, it's a meatloaf moment.
I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that.
I don't know whether we need to find another quote, because I think an awful lot of people don't even know who meatloaf is.
I think perhaps some of our younger listeners would think, oh my God, who are they talking about?
Angela Scott says, I have just had my Maréchal, so that's a Maréchalière, so that's the farrier, look at my horse's feet, as wanted to put the shoes back on, as unable to ride my horse as he keeps coming out of his boots, and was not able to be ridden for several kilometers without him feeling a bit tender on his feet. The farrier has said not putting shoes back on, fantastic, but to build up time ridden barefoot, that's fantastic to hear. Advice welcome on how to build up barefoot riding on a pigeon-toed Haflinger and how to have his trim done to maximize his ability to ride barefoot for longer distances. Happy to use hoof boots. Help, please. What a great question. And you know what? You did the best thing at the beginning, was to actually talk to your hoof care professional. So that's number one. What advice should we give, Angela, Garry?
Well, I commend your farrier because the feet do need conditioning. It's not about just taking the shoes off. I don't like to anthropomorphize too much about humans, but if we were to go down, we're often going, it's winter, we want a summer holiday, we've been in boots and trussing our feet up to keep our nice tootsies nice and warm, and we go on a nice summer holiday, sorry, a sunny holiday in the winter. And then when we get there, our feet are so soft, and we get onto the hard ground and we're on the beach and everything's ouchy, the stones and all of that. But by the time we've been on there and out for a month, a fortnight, by the end of that fortnight, our feet have hardened up and started to callus, and we're much more comfortable. Horses need the same. So I totally agree with the farrier. But I think probably the most important thing would be, is your horse getting a very high fiber diet? Mm. If your horse is not getting enough fiber in his belly to create that lovely, healthy gut bacteria in that gut, no amount of conditioning those feet is going to help.
Hmm.
The diet
it's
and the management is huge. I don't know whereabouts you are in the world, Angela, so if you can just pop that up, that would be great. So if we were in the UK, we would be looking at a mixed species hay with no rye in it. Rye is for fattening cattle and producing milk. This is not what we want for our horses. It sends them footy and it makes them laminitic. So you don't want them on lush green grass. So if they're turned out on lush green grass, or potentially stabled for many hours a day, all of these will have an effect on whether your horse can be 100% sound out when you're out hacking or working or eventing or doing whatever you're doing with your horse. So the conditioning of the feet is definitely a good one, but most professionals don't talk about this species specific diet and environment. That is equally, if not the most important. It is the most important.
Guess what, Gary? Angela
Go on. Yeah.
is in the VN 886290. So she's not far from us.
Oh.
She's on a track system, minimal green grass, standing hay, no hard feed. Brilliant. Great.
Well, I would say that you're nearly all the way there.
You are nearly all the way there.
Nearly all the way there.
You're not far from actually where we live. But do you know what, Angela? Go and have a look at our other webinars. Have a look at the diet and management, because it's not just, like Gary said, it's not just about conditioning the feet. Obviously, you have to. But if your horse is on track and your horse is getting fed hay, when you say standing hay, I'm guessing you mean it's already growing hay, or you need kind of hay that's been cut, really. Then she's going, how close to you? Are you available to travel? Well, we might be. 86290. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, Gary travels all over the place. We both travel around about, but message us.
I'll have a look
Privately. He's going to have a look now. But you may be able to stay with your professional. It may be that you don't need us. We're very happy to come and have a look, but I suspect that it could be the grass. If your horse is footy at all, there are really just the two reasons, because it sounds like your management you're getting right. It's either the horse is getting too much green grass and they're just getting too much sugar and it's causing too much inflammation in the foot. So they're chronically laminitic, even if you think they aren't. That's usually the case. And the second thing is, it could be your hoof care provider, your farrier, is just taking a little bit too much off every trim, just taking a bit too much off the sole, taking too much off the frog, because the frog is really important. That back part of the foot, the soft part of the foot's really, really important. And if they're coming and doing a standard trim every time and tarting the foot up to make it look nice, then the chances are that they're just taking too much off. Your horse has spent 6 weeks, right, callousing their foot and making good horn from their frog right through to the hoof wall. And if they're just taking too much off each time, you're putting the foot back every time. So yeah, is Angela close?
Just past Memorial.
Oh, so not far at all. So we are down in the south of the VN, so you're slightly further up. So yeah, messages if you would like us to come along. But before that, I suggest you go and have a look at the webinars on the diet and the management and all of that, because it sounds like you're almost there. But don't go for shoes, because you're nearly there. Jackie says, what mechanisms can be put in place to educate vets? Well, that brings us nicely onto our next question, because our next question was, who should you have around you to help you go barefoot? And of course, when we're talking about horses in the traditional world, we have farrier. We have the farrier for everything to do with feet. And when the feet go wrong, we might actually call in the vet. But the vet is there for all things that we're going to medicate, if we're going to have to put the animal on drugs, and for more advice. If you're not getting quite the right advice from your farrier, you think, or the horse is going lame, you bring in your vet, don't you? But then also in the mix, you've got your trainer. If you're going and you're doing stuff with your horse and you're being trained to do various things, I don't know, sports, dressage, or even just horsemanship. So that person comes into the mix too. So who should you really have around you? Well, Jackie says what mechanisms can be put in place to educate vets, and it sounds crazy, doesn't it? It sounds so crazy that we are even saying those words to educate equine vets, because I'm absolutely sure if an equine vet was on this webinar now, they'd be feeling a bit put out that we'd be even suggesting that they need more education when it comes to horses' hooves. But I have yet to find a vet. I have yet to find a vet, an equine vet, a traditional equine vet, who would be prepared to go, oh yeah, I could pick up a foot and I could trim that foot naturally. And I understand how to trim that foot naturally. I've not met one yet. Not yet. So if you can't do that and you can't appreciate the natural foot, then it's a very topsy-turvy world when you're advising an owner with a farrier, and you may even be advising a farrier if you're a vet too. So they're on often when they visit, they're on a bit of a ticking time, a bit like a taxi. The more they're with you, the more it's going to cost, especially if they're going to start rolling out the drugs. I'm not going to say anything that's good or bad. But maybe it's not always necessary. But when they're with you, they should be spending time talking about the diet and the management. They shouldn't just be talking about clearing up the pathology, because most times they're chasing the pathology. And because they don't know about the natural foot, oftentimes if you are curing a problem, so if we are in a situation where we are rehabbing a laminitic and the laminitic foot looks distorted, a vet might absolutely freak out about the state of the foot because it doesn't look anything like it should look in their minds. There is a lack of education there. Absolutely 100% there is a lack of education with vets understanding the healing pathway of a laminitic foot. Understanding that healing angle versus the divergent angle, that the way that the foot can change. Oh my goodness, absolutely. And we come across these problems regularly. So it is an issue. And what can we do to put it in place? Well, I think we just have to keep doing what we do. And I think that owners need to know more, so that when a vet does come out, they are able to stand up for themselves and stand up for their horse mainly, and just go, no, this is what's happening. Because if the owner can say that, look, this is what's happening in the foot, I guarantee to you this is what's happening. I just need, a bit of painkiller or whatever it is that you're asking the vet to come out. Or the vet might be coming out for something completely different and not about the foot at all. But when they start having that discussion with you about the foot, it's about you being educated enough that you are happy to have those conversations with your vet, because there's no point having the team around you if that team don't really know an awful lot of barefoot. This just would be talk about the show jumper Whitaker, John Whitaker, who has recently, we talked about this briefly once before, didn't we? And John Whitaker has recently, he's a very famous show jumper, comes from a very famous show jumping family. And he recently has told various publications that he would like to try barefoot. And we put up a post on our Facebook page, and some people were saying, well, I'm sure John Whitaker's got all the best people around him. Well, the interesting thing is he will be paying a lot of money for the top vets, the top farriers, the top body workers, the top everything, because money will be no object. But what's interesting is he's not successfully been able to go barefoot with that team around him. So is that the right team? Should he be asking the advice of other people rather than all of them scratching their heads and going, and him going to his favorite vet? Look, I want to go barefoot. What do you think we have to do? Well, I don't know. Is it shoeless? It's just taking the shoe off, right? But not horses can't, they can't manage, but they can. But if you don't know that, then you don't know that. So yeah, it's a problem, Jackie. It is a problem. Kay says there's an ex-PR consultant who now works in veterinary education. That's interesting. And has media contacts. Perhaps I should be getting more involved in this and actively helping to raise awareness. Well, that's interesting, Kay. If you want to contact us and chat to us about that, we'd be more than happy to discuss that with you, and maybe let's bash around a few ideas together. Jackie says, what do you think of the gastric biome test as advertised to check the horse's gut diversity? Well, my answer to that would be go ahead and do it. And be the same with your humans. You can do those tests as well with the humans. But what are you going to do when you get the results? Because at the end of the day, what we want is the horse's gut to be as diverse in the right way. So they've got to have, if you're giving your horse a good mixed meadow fibre, mixed meadow hay, and they're also able to browse on some hedgerows periodically, because that's important too, is to get natural herbage. And we're not talking green grass, but we're talking other things like thistles or cow parsley or anything at certain times of the year that are prevalent. Then you should have a good diversity in your horse's gut. Have they got the same diversity as the guts of horses in the Great Basin? No, probably not, because they're eating different plants. But I've never felt the need to say to an owner, you better go and get a biome test done. Because we can see the problems in the body and in the feet, and the problems are the gut, yeah. But usually it's just a simple thing of saying to that owner, just stop those bag feeds, stop those supplements, reduce the amount of grass, increase the amount of movement, increase the hay, and before your very eyes, things begin to change. Gary's nodding.
Hay is the biggest. If there was one thing right now that I could change for all of horse kind, is that every horse in the world could have free access to excellent fibrous forage all day, every day.
Oh yeah.
If that was to happen, if that was to happen, so much health would be, there would be so much more health in the equine world. Almost overnight. It would be absolutely phenomenal. And it's something that is so bloody simple.
It is.
But so many people have got it into their head, well, I don't want hay out in the field because it makes a mess, it looks messy. Well, I'm sorry, horses weren't made to be kept on bowling greens, for Christ's sake. Well, they weren't, were they? Do Mustangs in the Great Basin, do they look as though they're on bowling greens? Are the Mongolian horses on the Eurasian steppes, are they looking as though they're on bowling greens? No, they're not.
No.
I've probably said it before as well. I've got a client of mine that has got a lovely track, and for some of her horses, they go on the standing hay in the middle during the winter. So they can have a bit of a run around. They're not out there forever. It's a bit of a run around so they can get out of the mud a little bit. And usually mid-February, she says, I look out of my bedroom window and I see the green sheet of death. My horses are not allowed out there ever again. Not until next winter. And that, I think that really brings it home. Keeping these specialist animals healthy in lowland grassland, like the majority of the UK, is a challenge when we're keeping them traditionally. It is hard, and that's why track systems work.
But it's also
Because
also very confusing and mixed up too, isn't it? Because people, we're going, oh, you know, you just need to feed hay and mixed meadow hay and loads of it and no rye. And it's simple, simple, simple. And even if you're in the States or if you're in another part of the world, if you can get hold of Teff or Timothy or Bermuda or mix it up, you know, go searching for it. It's not easy, but it was never actually meant to be that horses could easily just be turned out on grass, because if you're doing that, then maybe you're not the person that should be owning a horse, and it's as important as that. But what's so confusing is that you should weigh your hay, soak your hay. Like, what's going on here? Why are we making it even worse for our owners by saying to them, you need to weigh it now, and now you need to soak it, or you just need to steam it? And the only time that we ever would suggest steaming or soaking hay would be to reduce the dust if you have a horse that has respiratory issues. That's the only time that we'd ever suggest you doing it. If you've got the wrong, and the vet should be saying to you, look, what's in your hay? Show me your hay. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at all the species in your hay. That's what we do when we come along. Aha, now you see this grass, this is ryegrass, and this is a pain because this is going to cause your horse problems. So what my suggestion is that you go and find a different farmer who can provide you with a better hay, because then all your problems will go away. But they don't do that. They'll go, oh, look, you've got haylage. They don't even go, oh, you've got rye haylage there. That's bad. They'll just go soak your hay, because all hay is apparently bad. And this is confusing for people. It's the wrong attitude. The attitude shouldn't be soak your hay. Make your life much harder because you're a horse owner. It's hard enough as it is, but you're going to soak your hay now, and it's going to get even harder. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. Don't be weighing your hay, putting it in a certain size hay net and getting one of those weigh things. No, because that brings us neatly on to the next final question, which was, do you need a special kind of horse to go barefoot? No. And you're just lucky. Your horse can go barefoot. No. It isn't. That's not the case, is it? It's the case. So don't go out weighing your hay, soaking your hay, and all of those things. And again, go and see our other webinars where we've talked about that in the past, because it just makes life really difficult for you. Just get a little, it's not difficult to have a look at your hay and see what's in it and find out what's in it. What about when they say we can't feed hay in the field because they have plenty of grass and don't need it? They feed their own horses hay when they are in during the day, being kept off the grass. So they do know. Yeah, they know. Mandy says, my pony is 31, has trouble eating hay due to her teeth. I have her on hay and grass pellets, also hard feed. Should I stop the hard feed? She can eat grass, so I keep her out most of the time. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, really. And we've talked about this before, haven't we? That when our horses get old, one, we're worried about them losing weight, but this doesn't seem to be the issue that you're worried about here. It's the fact that, well, it is because she's having trouble eating hay. We've talked about this before, and they're horses that have trouble eating fibre wouldn't survive in the wild. So they die. But we don't want our beloved horses to die because they've been with us for a long time, and we want them to be relatively healthy. So what you have to do is you have to find things that are more fibrous feeds that you can soak and that you can feed them, or chopped feeds that you can feed them. Our suggestion is that you don't at the end of their life and at the beginning of, oftentimes at the beginning of horses' lives when they're young, people think green grass, that's what we should give them. It'll be okay. They're young, they're growing. You don't need to. It's still, their guts are still the same. They need that fibre, and it's even more important when they're young and they're beginning their journey. And at the end of their life, when their systems don't work so well, systems are tired, they don't work quite the same as they used to before. At the end of their life, it's even more important not to overload them with the sugars because their system simply can't deal with it. You might think, oh, that's okay, because my horse is putting on a bit of weight, looks a little bit better, even though he's old, he ain't got much teeth. I'm going to nibble on the short grass. It still isn't going to do them any good. So what do? Well, then you have to kind of be thinking about things like sloppy foods to help them regularly, because they're going to need more care.
It still needs
you.
to be very. It still needs to be very responsibly sourced. You don't want loads of additives in it. You want it a safe, fibrous forage. It's basically the same, but it's just cut up smaller, and it's in a pulp, so they don't have to chew. That's basically what it is.
So we're not saying no bag feeds in that instance. You're going to have to do something that you wouldn't do normally for a horse that can feed itself fibre. And like Garry says, you got to just responsibly source it and don't get dragged down the whole. Just be careful. Just be careful what you feed, and just make it more like Garry said. It's just the same stuff, but it's chopped up smaller and made into a pulp. So, yeah. And things like we've often said, things like micronized linseed, but not a lot of it. That's a good fat content. But in actual fact, if you're sourcing a mixed meadow that has been turned into grass pellets or something like that, but don't go down the single species aisle, like feeding lots of lucerne and lots of alfalfa, because that just makes the system go crazy too, because there's just too much protein in it. So that's a problem too. Kay says Cushing's became a problem for my ex-show pony. Was too big to ride him, so took him jogging. Ideal. Yeah, all of these things that affect our horses, our domesticated horses. But that last question, do you need a special horse to go barefoot? The lady earlier, Angela, she's got a halflinger. Can halflingers not go barefoot? Can thoroughbreds not go barefoot? Spotty horses, small ponies, big horses, big Clydesdales. What's the truth? All
horses can go successfully barefoot, but not all owners can. I'm sorry, but that is the reality.
Mm-hmm. Which actually goes all the way back to what you were saying right at the very beginning as to why people take the shoes off. Because if you're taking the shoes off because you genuinely feel that those shoes are harming your horse's feet because you've got pathology that you can't cure up, thrush that's persistent, contraction in the back of the foot, cracks, seedy toe, white line disease, navicular, laminitis, all of those things that actually are linked to laminitis, but there are problems in your horse's foot. Those that want to find out how to cure those problems are often the people that will stick at it. If you're just taking the shoes off just because it's economic, then that's going to be a problem, isn't it? Charlie Branston. Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And Shires too, don't forget. And Shires too. They can successfully go barefoot too. All of them can. Big, small, doesn't really matter. Kay says all horses were born barefoot. The shoe fans forget this. Right. Absolutely. Mother Nature's got it right. She did 1.5 million years ago when she went, we can stop evolving now. The horse doesn't need to evolve anymore. We got it just right. And then Mother Nature can't catch up when we take these horses and we put them into the domestic environment, and then we go, well, I think I'll just feed them. And I'm not going to mention any names of bag feeds, but let's just give our horses something to make them look nicer. And Mother Nature's like, hang on a minute, that wasn't in the blueprint. Can somebody come and help, please? Because we've suddenly got all these bag feeds that I didn't work that out when I was creating the horse and creating the foot and creating that. I didn't factor in these bag feeds. So this is a problem. Mother Nature got it right 1.5 million years ago. We've just been getting it wrong, and we need to start getting it right. Charlie says 3 horses, 3 shires here in Aberdeenshire going perfectly barefoot. Yes, good to know, but it's still going well, Charlie. Joe says, Joanna Seeley says, how long between trimmings is the normal? My man has been sore every time she is retrimmed, every 6 weeks. Takes about 5 weeks before she's not limping anymore. It's also a possibility that the farriers are pinching her shoulder when picking up her foot in Arizona. Well, change now. 2 things you can do. 1, change your farrier. 2, learn more about the trim. Go and have a look at our correct trim webinar, and more importantly, you'd be a perfect candidate, Joanna, to come onto our workshop to learn more about the natural trim, because even if you can't do it yourself, you will then definitely know what is going wrong in that trim cycle. If Garry or I went round to all our clients and every 6 weeks and we lamed them every 6 weeks and they were footsore for 5 weeks, we wouldn't have a job. Right? How's that farrier even managing? How is your farrier even managing to keep a job if that's what he's doing? It just because he's shoeing, right? And the shoe covers all that up. This is another reason why people think that horses fail barefoot, because the trim isn't right, and the person doing the trim has no clue that they are the reason that that horse is not succeeding. They don't know. And they go, oh, well, just stick a shoe on because that, you know, we can do that. Learn about the trim, Joanna. Keep your eye on the website. You're obviously on our mailing list because you've registered for this webinar. So we will be putting it out soon when this online workshop or online course comes live, and it's in 2 parts. And I honestly cannot stress enough how important that is, because you will learn all about what the right trim is. You might not be able to do it, but by goodness, you'll know. And if you're in any doubt, go and have a look at our HM International School of Horse and Hoof Care Facebook page and look at the reviews of what people have said about coming onto the workshop. It's not about how marvelous we are, it's just about how much their eyes have been opened and they go, oh my goodness, now I know. Why didn't I know this before? That's what we do. So Joanna, my advice to you is, 1, either get rid of him or her, and 2, get on the online course, or get on the online course and then learn to know how to talk to your person, because you may not be able to get somebody else. So you might be able to say to them, look, don't do this. This is really bad. 6 weeks is a perfectly normal time to be trimming a horse. Every 6 weeks, we try and encourage people not to tinker in between times. 6 weeks is good. You don't need to go less than that, and you shouldn't go beyond that. 6 weeks is around about the time. If we are trimming a very, very poorly foot, we might have to shorten that a little bit, but then eventually it will go longer. But it's not acceptable that your horse is going sore for 5 of those 6 weeks. It's just not acceptable. Charlie says, the best thing I ever did for my shires was that workshop. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you very much indeed. You see, if you know, once you know, you can then have all the right conversations, and you might just be that person like Charlie does his own horse's feet. And Charlie won't mind me saying it. I know he won't, but Charlie's no spring chicken. He's retired, and he's got these shires and he is trimming them himself, and they're shires too, with big feet, big wide feet. So it's all possible. But even if you can't do the trimming yourself, learning about horses, we don't just talk about the foot, we talk about the diet, we talk about the management, we talk about the gut, we talk about all of those things. And it is vitally important that you know these things. Right. Jackie says, your course blew my mind. Thank you, Jackie. All right, now we're done. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a little bit different to what we normally do. We normally show loads and loads of slides, but we thought we'd just do it a little bit different this time. So just to give it a bit of a change it up a little bit. I hope you enjoyed that. Kay says thank you. Did you enjoy that, Garry?
I did. I saw Kay today.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh,
I did.
there you go.
It was good to catch up.
Good. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you around. Our next our next webinar is coming up soon, and I'm trying to think of what that is, but I can't. But if you go to the webinar page, school.
It's about the wild horse.
It's about wild horse. So schoolhmi.com, go there, check the webinars, register. We'll send it out anyway on the mailing list. Stay on the mailing list because exciting stuff is coming. Angela says thank you. Email already sent. Mandy says thank you. Jackie, thanks both. Sandra says thank you. Hope it stops raining in the Czech. In Czech, Sandra. Sally Little says thank you. Ruth, thank you. Joanna says thank you. We have a very few farriers around here to choose from, and this farrier was referred to me by a barefoot friend. I'll check everything out and go forward. Yes, get educated and empowered on the trim, and everything will be sorted out. Helen says thanks again. Lovely to see you, Helen, or hear from you. All right, guys, we're off. Enjoy your rest of your Sunday in August. And happy toe wiggling day.
I'm not going to get my feet out. That'd be
yes, human feet. All right, guys. See you around. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye.